Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial with me, Claris. In this tutorial, we're doing something slightly different, so I hope you guys are ready. I have a gift that I am giving someone, and I have decided because this is like the perfect packaging, it's a light color, I am going to paint on this. So let me quickly tell you what I am using. This right here, by the way, is Dossier. For those who are not familiar, this is a brand of perfumes that are very economical, and this is one of my favorites by them. It's called Fruity Oak Moss, and it comes with this card. The beauty about this brand is that it's economical, and it also, all the perfumes that they carry kind of mimic a branded, more expensive perfume out there. So I tried it out. I really liked it. I'm gifting it. And so here we go. In this project, we're going to be painting on this box. And before I begin and tell you what my supplies are, guys, please hit that like button and subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow and I can continue creating fun videos like this for you guys to do. All right, so I will be using my gouache paints. As mentioned previously, these are the pudding cup gouache paints that I purchased off Temu. Feel free to use Himi. Himi is the closest. I think there's other brands too, but I think Himi is pretty renowned. And they also have amazing colors. So feel free to get that if you are looking to invest in pudding cups like this. Then for brushes, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I've got here the Princeton Velvetouch Angular Shader, and then I've got the Princeton Velvetouch round number 4. So the Angular Shader, I find, gives you amazing results when it comes to loose, fun, and organic shapes. So that's where we're using this. And then obviously the round number 4 for the tinier details. I've got water ready on the side. I've got my little rag of paper towel, and then I'll be using this cute little clear palette by Lisi Arts. Already have some orange on there, and yeah, that's it. So we are ready to begin. So let's talk about what colors we're going to be using. I want to keep this fun and eclectic and just keep it very artsy. So I was playing around here and I really like the concept of doing something a little bit different. So I love this idea of the pink pumpkins with really, really loose florals or whatever on the side. We've got the regular ones too, but I'm going to paint these ones with you guys and we will go from there. So I'm starting off with getting some of my pink, which is right here. Love this bright pink, so I'm just going to put some of that over here on the side. And I'm going to get a little bit of this dark pink mauve color that's on here too, just for the darker areas. And so we'll start off with using that light pink, or the light bright pink right there. And then we'll get into a little bit of the dark pink as well. What I also want to use a little bit of is this nice blue that we have here, because when you mix blue and you mix a pink, you get a purple. So these are the colors we're going to be using. So there we go. I'll get a little bit of white at some point, but this is what we're going to be starting off with. And I'm going to be using the angular brush to paint all these, well, to paint our pumpkins to begin with. Okay, so first things first, if you have not watched the first gouache video that I did showing you guys how to mix gouache and how to get your consistencies correct, I suggest you head on over and watch that. I've linked it in the description below along with all my supplies as well. So feel free to check that out. And if you're ready to go, just let's begin. So I'm going to dip my brush in water. I'm going to start mixing a little bit. I know I've got some blue here, so I'm going to take a little bit of this, swiping some of this, mix it on the side here. So right away we're getting like this purple. So I've got a nice thick consistency, And what I'm going to do is every time I paint, I'm going to get, so the first one I guess I'm going to use this purpley blue color that we have. Notice it's not mixed entirely so that when we do our first swatch of color or our first stroke, we're going to get all these colors in there. Now using the tip, the pointed, the tallest area on my brush, I'm going to lightly swatch to get some of that pink on there. Now, I have a ton of pumpkin videos, but here we go again. If this is not close enough in detail for you, please, I'm going to link the pumpkin video as well so you can look at that on paper. Try that out first before you do it on your present if you wish. So I'm using the first tip, the tallest tip of the brush, and I'm holding it like so you can see it sideways. And then the first thing we want to do is a C curve. So starting with the tip, and I want my pumpkin to sort of be tilted a little bit, so let's just go this way. And I'm kind of trailing off, so I'm kind of lightly mixing some of that pink. I love that gradient that's happening on there. In fact, let's just zoom in a bit. All right, we've zoomed in a bit. I'm going to keep my palette over here to the side, and we're going to paint. So this is the first one. I'm going to do the middle one. So I'm still holding that tallest area, and I'm pressing down to kind of get that middle section. I'm going to get a little bit of water just to kind of dampen this a bit, getting some of the pink, the darker pink, dipping to get some of the bright pink now. I'm going to do my side stroke here. So it's literally just 3 strokes if you really look at it. And perfect your edges if you want to. We're trying to keep it light and fun. The more you kind of go over it, the more it's going to be more detailed. So now that that's done, I'm just washing off my brush, and I want to get a little bit of, actually before I washed it, I could have done some background little curves, but that's okay. We're going to keep this simple. I'm going to wash off my brush, allow this to dry just a tad, and I'm going to get a little bit of brown. Feel free to use whatever brown you have on hand. This is a very darkish sort of brown, so I'm just going to get a little bit of water mixed in here, and we're going to do our little spout at the top, so just like a curve. And then I'm doing a little bit of a line to make it thicker. I have a little bit of a guide, so now I can see exactly how thick I need to paint it in. If you want to give it a little bit of creative texture, just add a couple of lines and don't paint it in. So leave it kind of open-ended that way. Okay, perfect. Washing that off. I'm going to get a little bit of white now. So some of my white gouache. So making sure that your number 4 is washed off properly. Get some of your white. And I'm actually just going to use whatever water is on this brush. I'm not adding any more water to my brush because I want some nice light, dry strokes happening on here. So starting over here, I'm just going to add a stroke right like that. Perfect. I love these little dry bits that happen when you kind of really go in to show when there's less water, I mean. So adding a little bit there, just a little bit here. Perfect. So beautiful. I love it. We're going to do one more because that was the first one. Trial. This one I'm going to go in and get more of this pink. More of the bright pink. So here we go. Let's do one more. This time I'll make this one this direction here. So when you first lay it on, you might need to sort of go over it again and again. Try to fight that urge. If not, do what I'm doing, going back in again. I'm getting a little bit more of that pink. Wash that down here. Mix it up a bit. Here's that second middle portion. We're keeping these pumpkins loose and fun, leaving a little bit of space in between these grooves or our paint strokes that we're creating. This one I'll give a little bit of a background to our pumpkin. So that's all I'm doing. There we go, perfect. I'm gonna get a little bit of that dark pink that we have, and I'm going to go in. You can wait for it to dry a bit before going ahead and doing this, but I love the effect that it has and I can't wait, so I'm a little bit impatient here. Perfect, so that's great. So you can see some little lines of dark pink happening in there as well. In fact, if you want to add a little bit of that happening at the top and pulling it downward, you can. And I'm just adding some to the background. Great, so I'm going to put this aside for now. I'm not washing it off. And then I'm going to get the number 4, and we are getting our brown. And just like we did the first one, I'm going to do one this way. Again, you have the option of waiting for this to dry. That might be a little bit less messy. I am being impatient, so I'm just going in and going over. So we've got our first 2 pumpkins and they're looking super cute. I'm washing off my brush now, and I'm going to get a little bit of the white to give it a little bit of some like highlights in there. And just like I mentioned previously, I want to get that dry stroke happening there. So I'm just adding no water, just getting some of that and just dropping in some of these strokes in here. Mainly at the top towards the bottom here. Beautiful, I love this. Most of them are like towards the middle of the pumpkin, and mine is pretty damp over there, so I'm not doing too much. But I think this is good enough. Actually, I shouldn't have washed it off because I want to do a little bit happening in this pumpkin here. So I'm going to get some now that it's dried up. And I'm doing just a little bit of dry strokes in here. Again, you didn't have to do that if you don't want to. I just felt the need to do it. So now let's move on to doing a little bit of like loose florals around the edges a little bit. So again, we want to keep it bright and fun and sort of arresting to look at. So I'm going to use the angular brush again, and this time I'm getting I'm going to get a little bit of this blue in here. Let's just see what I didn't want to wash off most of the pink, so that's why I'm just getting some blue on the edge here, and we're just going to do tiny little strokes first, and we want to kind of keep them almost impressionistic in style. So I'm going to start some over here. Different kind of, keep white space in between, different sizes, and kind of figure out which direction, if you want to give this a sort of general direction that you want to have it in. So I have my bigger ones closer to the pumpkin, my tinier ones as they go higher up. Same here. I love the little tone or strokes happening within the blue because I've got the pink. So that's exactly what I wanted. And I am getting it. So that's great. I'm going to get a little bit more happening here. Let's do a little bit more happening towards this one. You are the creative person in this, so feel free to do as much or as little as you want. You decide. I'm just going with the flow and doing what my mind is telling me to do. But I love the blue with the pink and the hints of purple. It's just arresting. Okay, so now I guess I didn't get a chance to use the pink too much. So I'm going to wash off my brush because it's time to get in a little bit of orange, because the orange with the blue will also look good, or even a little bit of the purple. We've got tons of purple left on our palette. So I like to repurpose and reuse our paints instead of washing it all off. So yeah, let's get a little bit of purple first. So I'm just using the tip again. And I'm going to drop in some hints of purple in between. Same thing down at the bottom. Some kind of going to the top if you need. I like to kind of have it aired out a bit, like confetti almost. I'm gonna add a little bit at the bottom here. I'm gonna get some pink, just a tad bit, along with that purple. I'm just adding a little bit to sort of have it pick up. Not too much. So that's enough. I love how it looks like confetti. Okay, so let's get a little bit of orange this time, or even, if not orange, because we've got tons of bright colors, I'd say maybe a little bit of mustard. So I got a little bit of mustard. This is starting to look very Barbie-ish, I think. So I'm getting a little bit of mustard. I'm mixing it in with some of that brown so we get like a two-tone hue kind of thing. Get that in here. This is kind of just to give it a little bit of balance so everything is not completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Bright. Very nice. If you want to add some in between these bright flowers, that's also helpful, because it kind of tightens up the space and then adds a little bit of something. As you can see, as we're progressing, you can see how it is sort of happening. Okay, that's enough. Last but not least, let's get in a little bit of green. So if we mix a little bit of the blue that we have with the mustard, we get a little bit of green. So again, another thing I like to do is making sure that our colors are kind of the same colors we've been using, so it brings in some nice unity. And I don't want to overdo it too much because I feel like this is a fabulous look already. So I'm just kind of aiming to do, I don't want to make that long, but it's okay. Making a little bit of green here and there, in between, maybe even a little bit at the top. Kind of curving around the pumpkin is also helpful, so then this way you get a little bit of definition happening if you want. Or you can leave it airy like we had it previously. And that's it. So this is what it looks like, guys. I'm not giving it any shadow. I'm keeping it super simple. And if you want to have, like, if you want to extend it and make it a little bit more whimsical by adding more flying leaves or a little bit of curvature with some vines and stuff like that, do it. You can absolutely add some, what's it called? Tendrils. I think that would also look very, very fun. But this is what I'm leaving it at. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you thought. I'd love to see if you tried it out. Tag me on Instagram and on Facebook. Last but not least, guys, if you enjoyed this, please hit that like button and the subscribe button, as it really does help my channel grow. Thanks y'all for watching, and we will chat soon. Bye.